we transition into this weekend where we can spend a little bit of time together here. I do have some interesting takes here on today's market. Um, I lit us a nice little incense here as we start. So you can be, hopefully you'll be able to see the smoke a little bit as it brings in some calming energy for us, helps us get away our emotions and take a look at this properly on this Saturday morning. I am so humbled, so honored, so blessed, and also privileged to be able to spend this day with each and every one of you, to be able to put my thoughts out there, allow you guys to tell me what you think, and then also add to my own knowledge. And I believe by having a community as we have, which is at 49,100 strong, it allows me to understand this at an even deeper level. And I'm able to see things that I would have never seen. I'm able to better understand more with the tokenomics and also with the different scalability between utility, between the data tokens, the privacy tokens, the oracles, the IoT, the real world assets, the RWAs, and things like that. We're able to have a much deeper knowledge. Here, I'm going to share this so that everybody who wants to see it can see it, because I didn't get any alerts, but I believe it's creating a much wider atmosphere here for all of us. And it's very beneficial for me personally as we navigate outside markets, not just crypto. I've learned a lot from people when it comes to different things in the market. One of the biggest things that somebody showed me about a year ago that I still watch religiously is LAES, which is CLSQ. That's something that's going to be really, really big in the future. But, and that's just a perfect example of somebody from the audience speaking of something that I've heard of, wasn't very familiar with though, encouraged me to dig deeper. And once I did, I realized that there's a whole avenue there as well. So I thank each and every one of you this morning as we get started here. Good morning. 10:36 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, December 27th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I truly, truly, humbly, and just graciously appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you're all having a blessed start to this Saturday. We have a lot to talk about. Yesterday, with the options expiring, there was not much volatility to the upside. It stayed pretty pat, which is actually a pretty good sign heading into the weekend and into the next 48 hours or so, where we could start to hunt that upper liquidity zone, which a lot of people are talking about 100K. Let's not count our blessings before they start to show up. What I would say is, if you want to be honest about this, you want to take the accurate approach. You start to look at that 90 to 92K liquidity zone. If you pull it up on a heat liquidation map, which we'll do as this goes along, you can see that there is a very strong liquidation that starts to set up. Now, I will give you the caveat here. At 84K, if Bitcoin wanted to pull down and still hold this zone, but it wanted to go grab some liquidity before it makes that move up, you could find yourselves into that lower liquidity gap at 84K. But I would be pretty surprised if we don't tap this upper liquidity before a further low is made, so to say. So breaking past 80K and things like that, it seems to make more sense to have a move up here to tap that liquidity zone, but you never really do know until it happens. So we'll keep paying attention to this appropriately as a unit, but we'll also look at XRP. We'll take a look across the board as not much has really moved. SHX is a very interesting one this morning. I'm always disappointed with the way the pricing is on certain exchanges, but this is at a low. So, I mean, like, if you were targeting it, this is at support. And unless it breaks down and comes down to the next area, I mean, you buy support, sell resistance, it's at support. It's just that simple. We've only hit 2 hits of resistance. We've hit support for a 3rd time. Logic dictates that if this doesn't break down, we're going to come back up near 1 cent. And that's just one I wanted to start out with this morning before I forgot. But it certainly does dictate that we could be on a reversal candle. Now, is it going to happen? Is it going to play out? Well, as you know, with SHX Stronghold, it's got big utility in the future. and now it's starting to have utility as well. But going forward, if you can find it in the right liquidity bunches, it's big. It would be a big purchase. Some people ask me the question, which one do I prefer, SHX or Axelar? I don't think you can really compare the two, if I'm being honest. I don't. I think that they kind of run their own thing. It almost makes me feel like you would maybe want to go between, would you rather have SHX or Linnea? You know, if you were going to have that kind of a conversation, like an apples to apples. But I like Axelar. Like, some people are like, Tom, how much do you have? I have 50,000 tokens of Axelar. Then I told everybody where I was going to buy it and take a shot, and it came down there, so I took a shot. When it came down and tapped the support, I took a shot at it. It's right about where it's at now. It was a little bit lower on average, maybe 718, I think it ended up being. I did not get the 707. It was right when it tapped. No, it might have been a little bit lower. No, it wasn't. I would say it was 72. What did I say? 718? Couldn't have been. It was 723. I would almost bet my reputation on it that I got it at 723 and not 718, because I was targeting this trend line. There's no way I would have bought it at 718, because it wouldn't have been down that far. I would have bought it before this drop. I can almost guarantee it. Yeah, definitely. So we're right about break even right now on Axelar. Okay. It might have been a little bit lower now, because I bought the other. Never mind. Now I know why 718. I bought here 25 or 20,000, and then I ended up buying 30,000 more at 718. That's what it was. Duh. Never mind. So technically I'm right and wrong at the same time. So anyhow, that's and that's tokens, not dollars. Even though there's a lot of things with this chart that makes you a little, it'll make you a little bit stressed out, but it'll also make you look at it and go, you know what? It's a little bit dangerous and tricky out here this morning on this Saturday, but we still need to take out these levels. I think XRP consolidating like it has, it's not a great looking pattern, but if you take it out from a little bit farther and you're like, you know what, let's take our own emotion out of it, the fact it's not really moving, let's set it up in a real defined order. And I think this would be the perfect one to look at. Yeah, you can come down like this, like this, and make it a bigger pattern. No reason. And I'll tell you why. Because when you came through here, this is a very strong support resistance area, and every time it would come through, it either get resisted here down, below, up, hold, up. Now we consolidated back down. See how it rode right here? This part right here is the key for this pattern, to me. Where it rode here, came down and created the head, and now it's riding it again. This is everything. Breaks out of here, it guarantees us to move out to at least $2.01 at the 200-day. If it breaks down and we end up losing this support structure at about $1.81, it can drive you right back down here to $1.70. You don't want to come down there. You do not want to come down there. I don't want to come down there, not yet. I'd prefer for this to be a wave 4 move up to expansion. I do not want wave 3 to continue down in contraction, because if this happens, I am not a dummy, unfortunately, and I know if this doesn't push out in an expansion style move, if we go contraction here, that means that we could eventually, and don't quote me here yet, I don't want to be looking like the Grim Reaper, even though I came out in black today apparently. If we were to have a wave 3 contraction here, and it's not the end of 3, and we're not going to wave 4 expansion right now, in this zone, the likelihood is wave 3 would continue down to probably around $1.57, and the problem is you could theoretically in that case have a wave 4 expansion that kills you at $2. Well, if you get wave 4 expansion that ends at 2, you might come sub $1 on wave 5 for the final move down. Now, if we get wave 4 up here and we end up coming up to $2, and then ultimately, if we get up to wave 4, we might come all the way up to 260. You don't know, 265. But that would mean wave 5 down. You might be okay coming down to $1.57. And then you have 5 waves up. That could get you to $10 in that. I'm not just saying that to say it. If we did it like that and we followed it appropriately in the I'm having a brain fart. If we follow it properly on the we're not talking about the wick off right now, but the Elliott wave. I was trying to think of how the wick off would play into this, but we can't really do that yet. But if we're talking about the Elliott wave, it is just a theory. So when we talk about the 5 waves, it's a theoretical, the Elliott wave theory. It's just a theory that often ends up playing out as such. So, but yeah, like I would encourage you, if you're watching all this volatility though, instead of picking 15 different tokens, pick your favorite 5. Pick your favorite 3. If you're not a veteran trader, pick your favorite token. Start to capitalize on parts. Like the way I started looking at this, BAN, Data Oracle, Linea, a token that was picked by Swift, SHX, also another one that needs to be sitting there. Shiba is going to be big for data token, or it's going to be with the upgrade, technically, it goes from ISO into more of a privacy as well, and that's all speculation and conjecture, and some would say bullshit, but, it is what it is. So, I've often said Shiba is an underrated player in this game. It really is. It's an underweighted player, especially when it's only got 3 digits showing right now, like 0000723. I mean, that's where miracles are made when you get that cheaper pricing. I believe Axelar should be in everybody's portfolio. Epic, I don't know why it keeps taking Epic off. Epic should be, if you're looking, so basically it's Epic for real world assets. You've got Axelar, which is, it's tied in with Ripple, and it's such a small circulating supply, not as small as Epic. Where's Epic at this morning? 70 cents. I know it got up to 80. But it just continues to move up. I have a lot of hope that this is showing us a direction for the rest of the market and got out ahead. So maybe it would get into contraction when the rest of the market expands farther, but this likely probably isn't even done. But we'll stay in a more unified direction this morning because I want to get over the XRP chart. I want to make sure though that everybody realizes that SHX where it's at right now. Can I ask anybody a question? Who else believes in Stronghold? Or who else has been watching it at these levels? Just out of curiosity. I'm not saying you got to buy $10,000 worth, but $1,000 or $2,000, whatever you have of it. If you bought it, I don't care if it's $50 worth. Just if you've been watching it at this section, or would you be more intrigued? Let me ask you a question. I have a question. Would you rather have, let's see, 40,000 XLM, or would you rather have 30,000 and put $2,200 into SHX? I think that's a better question. Or would you rather have an equal split between XLM and SHX? Or would you not want XLM, and would you rather have I would love to know. I would love to know. Or like anything else. Like for me, I look at it. Would I rather have the 40,000 HBAR and 40,000 XLM? Or would you rather cut off some of it so you could have more SHX? Or would you rather have more of something else? I'm always curious. Because I think SHX is very undervalued. And even when you put it up against XLM, I would almost argue that if you were stuck between 40,000 XLM and you had none, I would probably take 20,000. And I know it sounds stupid, but I would probably keep 20,000 XLM and put the other 20. Or no, I take that back. I would probably take 10,000 XLM and 10,000 HBAR in that scenario and keep 30,000 of each of those, and then put that extra $3,300 towards SHX probably. But I don't know yet. There's also the argument of, there's a lot of arguments to be made. I love this kind of active discussion. Like, this is what makes me happy, talking about this kind of stuff. Did I do the intro yet? I don't think I did the intro, actually. Yeah, SHX, I traded it on KRAKEN, but you got to be suave with it on KRAKEN. Like, I know right now, there's an ask price that's pretty close. I watch it when I talk about stuff during the lives. I go through all the tokens. On Kraken, if you were trying to buy it, the price is at 007013. But on Kraken, I mean, the best, and I don't even know if it would fill. The best you're going to get, it says, is 703-ish. Which some people make a big deal about that. But if it's within 1%, 1.25 with these kind of tokens, I mean, you're splitting hairs because it's so volatile. Even in the stock market, when you're trading stuff, like, you're not going to want to buy it way up at the top of the wick. But if it's giving you it at anywhere below 706, probably you're fine. Like, I wouldn't even split hairs. Now, in a breakdown, it'd be interesting. Exactly. And a lot of people need to realize that Stronghold, there was a time when it was, like, when we start talking about how much it actually used to be, I think a lot of people would be surprised, my friend. I think a lot of people would be surprised to find how expensive it used to be. And to see what they can get it for now, I think people would be... I thought more people would be interested in it when it came down this part of the pay. I really did. I thought more people would be interested. I think because it reset, most people are afraid. I actually really appreciate the fact. Look how far this came down. It's kind of like when we were talking about Shiba the other day. Like, look how much it came down. It's crazy. This is dumped down 80% since August. If I told you in August you could buy it at 20 cents on the dollar, instead of buying it at 4.5 cents, you could buy it at 0.007, what would you have said? I'm generally curious what my audience would have said back then. Would you have said, oh my God, I gotta buy this? I'm going balls deep. I think a lot of people would have. But I really am a big fan of SHX. I know it catches a lot of people off guard because they're surprised that I am a fan. There's too many people in this audience that showed me what it was all about to where I couldn't ignore it. And then when I started to actually look deeper, I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is, once this goes, it's going to go, but I don't know if it's going to go. Here's the thing. If SHX comes down, you're talking about more at 0.005, but if it comes back up, you're talking about that push around 1 cent. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. And XLM, the reason I asked is because XLM has a beautiful inverse pattern. You've got all these things that have a beautiful setup. If they play out. And XLM is in that category. Look at it. Would you just look how beautiful that looks? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, trying to pull out now. Oh, God. There's a lot of desire here that goes in this market, guys. Like, for me too. I love this market. I'm not afraid of this market. I think a lot of people expect us all to be afraid. Who's afraid of this market? I would dare say there's not a lot of people afraid of this market. I mean, at least if you're in this community, I don't think there's a lot of people afraid. I think we are looking for opportunity, and we're trying to discuss it amongst each other to see exactly where that opportunity comes. Like, seeing XDC go over 5 cents and consolidate right now, great sign. It's just, I'm going to call it what it is. It's a great sign for what we're trying to do. So, I'm very happy with what I'm seeing right now. I understand we can stub it down because that's the way it can go. But I do know we're going to have expansion at some point. And some things dumped out harder than others. It still feels like to me, as long as XRP holds this area, that it should come up at some point here. I want to take a look at the liquidation chart for Bitcoin. So we can go into the heat liquidation area. I think it's very, very important. And then I want to continue to delve into... I want to look at H-bar today. I'm trying to remember. I want to look at H-bar. I want to look at... I want to see where XDC's at. You know, as we get going farther into this live. I definitely want to see that. And then if you guys have any other ideas. I don't think I did the intro, so I'm going to try to do the... I'm going to try to... do the intro here real quick. Good morning. 10:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, December 27th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. As we all try to figure out this very, very seemingly never-ending volatility that encompasses the crypto market at all times, it feels like. It's a very strange game we play here indeed, folks, when it comes to crypto. Would I trade it for anything? No. I love it. I love it. Because when you have the volatility, it allows opportunity. But understanding if you can't separate the volatility from the opportunity, it can be a trap. It can be a trap. There's no doubt about that. But you got to take the volatility. We need the volatility to start pushing these markets. If we don't have the volatility, it ends up working against us in a lot of ways. So be patient. Look at the charts. Look at your setup and be like, okay, this is what I want and this is what I don't want. It's pretty simple, you know? So when we look at Bitcoin, if we talk about that upper liquidity zone, let's go into this chart. I think it makes it much, much better. We were unable to come up as of right now, so nobody knows when we're going to come up there, if we're going to come up there, if we're going to come down to 84K first. Like, that's always the thing. Like, I wish it was a more universal approach. I wish that things would happen in a more delegated fashion. But as we know, that's not generally the case in crypto, unfortunately. So, we kind of have to delegate it in a fashion to where we got to try to figure it out in a tricky way. It's always tricky for me too. Like, I would like it to be a little bit more simple, but think about it with the perspective of crypto. If there was no volatility, would anybody even trade this market? Like, a lot of people went into this market instead of the stock market because they really, really, really like the volatility. I like volatility. I think most people like volatility. Because without volatility, you just sit there sideways chopping. And right now, even for Bitcoin, I know looking at it this morning, it's like, it looks horrible. And like, what are you supposed to tell the new person that comes into crypto and they look at this and they go, hey, you had the biggest options expiration ever and nothing happened. Like, literally, the price barely moved. What are you supposed to tell them? If they come into crypto today, what would you tell them? Would you say, A, that's a terrible sign? Or would you say, B, hey, the lack of volatility to send us down there and the fact that we stayed pretty pat, that's actually a decent sign that there should be some kind of volatility that comes in and picks us up here along the way. I always like to play devil's advocate. I really do. Because now you come into the weekend, it's thinly traded weekend. Number one thing we're expecting, the market just to topple over, yada, 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 so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. So, but is that what's going to happen with this market? You know, I don't know, because I see a lot of liquidity, and I know I'm like rambling on, but I see a lot of liquidity up in those higher zones, and it makes a lot of sense if it wants to come up there. Now, USDT dominance is something we're going to have to watch. We're going to have to watch Bitcoin dominance, but before we even get to Bitcoin dominance, we need USDT to start chopping down. That's the dominance in the stable coin. And right now, it early on got rejected on a top here, but we need to see if this will reverse back down. It did hold the 200-day and the 2 hourly, which is technically, you know, you got to pay attention to that for sure. How big of a detriment is this going to be to the dominant USDT, the stable coin? Because I could very well see it come all the way back down here to test that little channel that it's got for a bigger breakout. But if it at any point comes back above 6.53%, we definitely have to pay attention to that. Like, we have to pay attention to that. Does anybody understand, like, if that goes up and it breaks past and we end up having a bullish breakout here, that would mean that this could come up here, and we've already got the triple bottom here. So that's like the inverse pattern. We're just kind of stuck between resistance and like the uptrend. But it could bring us all the way up to 8%. If we have 8% in dominance for USDT, that's a problem. Like, That would be a problem. That means 8% decided to. So basically, when you put it in there, 8% of it's in the stable coin instead of being traded in the actual cryptos. That's a scary proposition if that ends up playing true. You know, you don't want those to play true. Those are the scary propositions, at least in my own head. So let's just kind of stay away from that. That's what scares me. If we were to come and see USDT explode now out of here, that would be a scary scenario, at least for me. Because I can see the ramifications, how that could play out, and that could end up being a very scary proposition for most of the traders here in this community, just because of the way we like to trade assets. Because if you're taking it out of there, it's got to come out of utility, it's got to come out of the ISO, it's got to come out of the IoT, you know, it's got to come out of the RWAs. As SHX is moving up a little bit right now, hopefully that continues, because it really does feel like we could have a pretty volatile move up here if it ends up panning out here properly. I'm all for it. I've been pretty dedicated as it came down to the 007, 0066, when I had that overzealous drop. I always like to pay attention to things on these overzealous drops, so I'm all for it. So I want to see this happen. Let it happen. You know the comments. Let it happen if you can find it, but I really wanted to express my holy tamales in silver, right, from what happened yesterday. Silver had its biggest volatile move in the history of silver in one day. Was anybody paying attention to the silver bullion market? I'm sure some of you were. When we talked about it a little bit yesterday on the air, how could we not? But it was up 10.47% at the end of the day. When we were on, it was up 8%. It ended up closing up $7.51 per ounce in one day. Unheard of in the silver market. You've got a lot of stress buying right now, which is playing into this, obviously. You've got a lot of, like, Thailand, Shanghai, I mean, not Thailand, Shanghai. Yesterday in the morning, there was a lot of alerts that came out that Shanghai was panic buying silver for $80 an ounce. And silver was only at, like, 71. So there was a big gap that ended up being created, and it was one of the biggest ones I've ever seen in silver on Sunday night into Monday. We had a huge gap, and then we gapped up like almost that entire way. It was unbelievable. It was the biggest gap I've pretty much ever seen fill out like that. It was awesome in real time. So it's been a crazy journey here the last couple of days. There's no doubt about that. I keep looking at these little blocks here, and it seems like there's a lot of upward possibility here. We just got to get past this. If we get past this little range, the problem is this little setup also tells me that Bitcoin could go to 84 first. So we have to see which side of liquidity. Let's see what the crypto fear and greed index is this morning. At 23, extreme fear. I mean, it's still down in the pretty fearful levels. But this is what I'm interested in. Let's go to Bitcoin in the daily. No, not this. Liquidation. Let's go to Bitcoin in the daily. Or the monthly, I mean. Not the daily. We'll look at where the things are showing up for the people who are trading here in just a sec. In the last 24 hours. But I really am very interested with this area right here. Look at this area, 90,000, where does it start? About 90,400-ish. But once you get to 90,700, you got 895 million, 90,800, 693, 764, 642, 627, 679. However, remember the 84K area I talked about right here. 84 extends down to about 82.9. What makes more sense? I really think they're eyeing this area. I think they need to get rid of these short traders at some point before we come way down. So, but there's a lot of liquidity up there. That's your strongest zone right now in Bitcoin, is between 90 and about 92. There's huge liquidity. And then if you get up over the top, obviously, you got from 94 all the way up to 96, 97, 98 again. But that strong pocket right here is right around 90,700 up to about 92,000. So that $1,300 range would create a lot of volatility. Yeah, Bearded Viking, you said it better than I could. And I hope Mighty Marcus is doing good this morning. He's fighting the good fight. We pray for him each and every day, as well as for you and the family. I commend you on seeking out another job and doing things you have to do. I understand that how that works, unfortunately. When you have a child that's going through not so not most people can't understand it if they don't have a child that's going through something, a special circumstance, we'll call it. Um, so I appreciate the fact that Mighty Marcus is fighting the good fight, and we look forward to continuing this and the breakthrough. Yeah, we have 60% likes in here. 60% likes, 60 out of 100. Not horrible. But Bearded Viking, thank you also for being in Tom Zone for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. I really appreciate it. I've been sharing your information. Define's been sharing it, and hopefully you're going to get some blessings. Define, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom Zone for 6+ months with the XP Predictor, along with Frankie Fresh. Crypto Cooter and Define, thank you for being very trusted out in here in the Telegram with Crypto Cooter. Define says, Tom, there's some pretty interesting information circling around yesterday of how and why silver did what it did yesterday, and how bad is it this is for banks and people. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. Remember, the USA acts like we have silver for delivery or gold for delivery. When people want to get it on demand, we don't. We got rid of the silver and acted like we still had it, and it's all on paper. So, oh, it's horrible. What this signaled in silver, especially with what Shanghai was doing, is the universal, unequivocal move on from the US dollar and currency, notes, bonds, just moving on from the USA monetary policy for all these other countries, and they're going back into a standard. I believe we're very quietly going back to a standard that is based around metals again. I think we're having a wealth transfer, an historical wealth transfer right now, and nobody really pays attention to it. I really do. I think we're having a wealth transfer, and it's going on to the precious metals market. And think about it. If you would have bought before these rallies the last couple of years, I mean, your wealth is just, the rich get richer. The dollar goes down, but imagine if you're a wealthy person and you bought $100,000, $500,000, $1 million in metals, that's gone up 3, 4, 5 times now, while everybody else is suffering. So pretty crazy. Yeah, I know. I showed charts about Bitcoin, Binance. I always tell everybody don't trade on Binance for a reason. Binance went down to 25K, which would basically tell you that they're looking for upward volatility now. They're taking out all of those long traders. So it doesn't mean it has to go right up. There's still a lot of liquidity. It could melt down first, but at some point, we're going to find those upper gaps. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm going to be interested to see what this does. My eye is on this because it had that fall down when everything else was kind of just sideways chopping. Same reason why I was interested in XDC when everything else was kind of sideways, because it had that pull down. This had a pull down and now it's trying to bounce off support. Will it break out? Will it have the fortitude? Nobody can really tell. 4 hourly starting to try to move up, but I mean, again, it's going to need some help. We're going to need some market-wide volatility. Although this is one like Epic. Once it gets going, just like Shiba, just like Axelar, just like some of the other ones, once they get going, it's pretty hard to stop it, for being honest. These ones just kind of move unabated. I've seen some people commenting on Axelar. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about Circle. But unfortunately, the information is choppy at best. It's not going away, if that's what you're thinking. It's almost like our mining stocks when something gets acquired and then the price immediately goes down because nobody understands. That's what that reminds me of, but who knows? I could be completely wrong. Just like I could be completely wrong with the fact that this market needs to, at some point, go up for expansion. Maybe it'll just contract all the way down, We haven't got a lot of volume, but a lot of this would be pretty much done on manipulation. So in my opinion, they would just shut off the shorts, the short and the trading algorithm, and then it would allow for expansion through the buyers, just like they cut off the buy on the trading algorithms, and then it ends up playing that down fade. So, I mean, we don't really have much of a guiding stone here besides the fact that, okay, we had a few of them that ended up moving up and down. We had like XDC moved up against the grain. We've had Epic go up, but Epic really, it's not on par with like the rest of these. XDC is though, because Epic's only got 30 million tokens or so. It's a real world asset. But look how XDC came down again, consolidated at 492, and now it's steadily pushing back up. I feel like this is what's trying to happen with some of the other parts of the market. They just haven't got that upward tug yet. But, it's hard to tell. It really is hard to tell. So, but we'll see how this continues. TT, I gotta work. I'm not done yet. I'm almost done. I'm almost done, buddy. There's Nuna. You say hi to Nuna? So.
You can sit on the couch.
Hi, Titi. Woo! Woo! My son is, he came out here. He just wants to hang out. He wants to hang out. XLM in the hourly could be pushing up here. Hopefully that's what's starting to happen here. 2 hourly starting to push up. We should, if this continues at the 222 level. I don't know. What's XRP look like in the 2 hourly? I mean, it's struggling at best. It needs to have this push out, and then if it does in the 2 hourly, we should come up here and retest towards $1.92. But we'll see if we take that downward tug. They took my name away. It's Pumpmaster Flash. What's up, Tom? Hey, James. That makes way more sense. Pumpmaster Flash. Yeah, they took away all these names. It's so hard to see. It's so hard to keep up because they keep changing the names. What did Bearded Breaking? Oh, I talked about that as well. But I'm sure it will pump 100% and I'll be shaking my head. Yeah. I've been having to tell people for years that Shiba's not actually... It's the illusion of a meme coin versus Doge. But it truly is an ISO token and it's going to be privacy focused. Well, data privacy. Because it's having a major upgrade in the early part of next year. Oh yeah, Pumpmaster Flash. We've been trying to talk about silver for a long time. I know you have been talking about it for a very long time as well. Garbanzo, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Mark Caston, good morning and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Frankie Fresh and Janine, thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor along with the Canvas podcast. It's All an Illusion in UK Phil, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Creamy Goodness, good morning. Plant Good Seas. Breath work too on this volatile day. And thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty Shadows Crypto News. We'll do a breathing. In through the mouth. Out through the nose. Actually, in through the nose. Out through the mouth. That's how you let the emotions go. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. And then I have my amethyst crystal on, my cross that I really wanted, that Julie got me for Christmas, so I'm very happy about that. Keeps away some of the negative energy. Shield your heart, if you're into all that. Helps the positive energy flow through you. So we'll see. We'll see. To live away. Let's see. Who else? Who else did I miss? All the World States, thanks for being in town. 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Silver Days, good morning from Texas. Excellent. The Lone Star State. Sorry, I just wanted to. Zolam, good morning. Says he likes SHX. Me too. Me too, friend. Me too. Maybe a little too much. Lori, good morning, Mrs. Watson. Good to see you in here, love. I love seeing you in here. Brendan, good morning. Mick Shoot, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. My Yard Now and Dan Marginal, thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Glenn Barlow, good morning and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. 2 Ravens in Tom's Army for 2+ years with the XP 589 Moon badge. Yes, Dan, as we pray to our Lord and Savior Yahweh and Yeshua for a beautiful guided Saturday. And because more than one person is speaking in the name of our Lord, God has become present amongst our actions in this live. Where 2 or more speak my name, remember, not my name, God's name. When 2 or more speak the name of the Lord, he becomes present amongst us. Now, as far as this market, there's a lot we can say about this. Yes, right now we have the optic that we still have this inverse pattern, which is good. But you can see how this is starting to squeeze. We're almost finished with, we're almost out of time for the squeeze now. As far as like making a direct, I'm not talking about a short or long squeeze. I'm talking about purely a pattern squeeze. See how you have that uptrend? It's almost like this. You can even come from over here. But this is your pattern consolidation. So if it doesn't break down, let's just say it keeps going, it would come up here to 90K. So it hit that liquidity box. If it breaks below about 87,000, ooh, this is good. This will help a lot. Breaks below roughly 87K is where you have to worry. 87K. Hi, buddy. Hold on, I'll be right back. What do you need, bud? You want to get something from here? You want to get this stuff?
Sorry that you had to pee.
You want these? That room. Okay, let me get one. Do you want this?
It's okay.
Yes, Mama said I'll take this.
It's such a trouble, Jack.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. You know how it is with my son. I'll walk away from the live if he needs something, and then I'll just come back as if nothing happened. He wanted his little bubbles, so I filled them up. But I want to look at H bar real quick. I know I'm on borrowed time, especially if he keeps running back and forth. H bar bounced off this 1 cent area. If it continues to push up, we've got an upper resistance zone up here right around the 1-2. It's about 13 cents. Got to get over the 200-day, hit it once, back testing the lower time frames, and then the 4-hourly runs up along. If we can get up here, it gets closer to that resistance area. Actually, it runs right into it perfectly at that 12.9 cents. So it's perfectly in that area. So that's right in that area. Nice inverse pattern. Looks like it's set up at least right now. We'll see if they play up. A lot of the charts have that same kind of setup where they look like we've got this inverse pattern. Very happy to see V-chain starting to push out because a lot of them have this exact same kind of setup. And seeing V-chain now push over this resistance is a good sign. It really is. If we can get a lot of the market to follow. Now, I know we're overbought now in the daily, which is a bit combobulating the fact that we've only gone up as much as we have. Monthly and weekly is as oversold as I've seen it in V-chain almost ever since I started watching it. I can't talk about 2019 and 2020 because I wasn't trading it then. I started in 2021 before that huge parabolic move. It was unbelievable. We had like a 20x move that happened almost seemingly overnight in a series of a month or two. It was crazy. But this is as oversold as I've ever seen it in the monthly and in the weekly. I never really thought that I'd get the opportunity to buy it under one. Well, I mean, there was the opportunity, but I didn't know if it would actually ever play out to come below 1 cent, and it actually did, which is ridiculous. Seeing all these sideways consolidations when it really does look like we need to bounce out is a bit discombobulating because you could see maybe it really is setting up for something strange here. And it's like, how many days are we going to have to sit here and talk about it? Well, as we talk about it, some things are up 30 to 50%. It just depends which token it is. OPIC's a great example. It got out in front. There's a few other ones that have gotten out in front too a little bit. And now it's just a matter of can the rest of the market catch up. Bitcoin dominance is down 0.14% at 59.65. It's been stuck. Here, let me get rid of some of these drawings so that it's easier to see. We started doing that to show the drawdown if it happens, and then hey, if it comes up there. But this is something we've done over time. And it's filled out all of it. Like all the down parts, it filled out like it was supposed to. Came back down to the support area down below, retapped the uptrend, even though it doesn't look like it because I just drew it out freehand. But this did come through that area, so it actually did that. You could say that was just an overzealous wick. You can kind of pull it down like that. So we're tightening up here a little bit. It's just if we play down with dominance, I mean, this would be good for the rest of crypto. For the alt, looks like maybe a double top here. So maybe at worst we come down to 59%. But I've been really, really transparent about this. We need this to come down to that 54.7%. Once it gets down into that area, we can start to make a game of this. We can start to actually make a play of breaking down. Anything short of that, we could come back up to 62.7%. So that's the dangerous part. Well, it's not 62.7. It would be that downtrending yellow line, not the rising channel, because we already retested it. Huh? Oh, thank you. 64% if it comes across the top, but it would probably do it in a downsloping fashion, so it probably wouldn't hit there. It'd probably be somewhere around there in May, but we'll see. But I want everybody to not trade leverage here, obviously, if you're going to try to take a shot somewhere, because this is super volatile. We're on a thinly traded weekend, and anything can happen. Anything can happen. Let's see, John Boogathorpe, good morning. Thanks for tuning in. The RSI are looking beautiful. I need to look at the RSI without it being attached to stochastic, because it's going to be in a better position right now than stochastic, because stochastic is volatile as hell. I don't think it's necessary. Holding Shiba Inu as still like everything else. It is speculative, but if there's a monetary opportunity short term, hey. I don't 100% agree with that, Define. I'm not saying you have to buy it at this exact moment. All I'm saying is that when you talk about value and positioning, There's not very many that you can say have come all the way back to before we had the big volatile breakout. And this one has come all the way back down to retest that entire phase. So unless this is breaking down to a new structure, in the last couple of days, it's been at the floor base. It could come down to 635 and a little bit of an expansion or a contraction. But if you're looking at opportunity of something that's being incorporated and something that you want to get out in front before the next upgrade, you have to find the volatile zones. Remember the October 10th wick, this filled out. Not everything can say that. There's a lot less, at least the optics seem that there's a lot less downside risk with Shiba where it's at now compared to a lot. It's as low as I've ever seen it in the monthly. It's just as low as I've seen it, and it looks like it's creating a hook, like W, the double bottom. But yeah, I don't know if I necessarily agree with the fact that you don't need to hold Shiba. It all depends on your perspective, though. It all depends on your perspective. A lot of people only look at Shiba as a meme coin, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy about that. I don't want people to see what it is. I'd rather everybody sleep on it, personally. But yeah, it's all about perspective. Now, as far as expanding your portfolio a little bit, we'll think about it this way to find. What were we talking about with silver and gold in January when crypto was just parabolic and gold and silver seemingly kept going down and mining stocks kept going down? While everybody's optics were refined in that direction with crypto, we unrefined from crypto and we refined into a different space. When everybody's focused on silver and gold, we're going to unrefine even though we're still invested. And the saddest thing to me is everybody's asking when they should sell silver. There's a lot of people talking about silver and gold, or silver in particular, and they're asking when to sell it. Wrong question. It's the wrong, like if you think the US dollar is going to continue to contract down and the US is fading, you don't sell the silver and gold. You got to hold that. Now, I understand the skepticism with Shiba. I'm not saying that that should be on anybody's list. I'm just saying when you're looking at opportunity, you're trying to find the bottoming zones in some things. But, there's a lot of speculation when it comes to Shiba. Like, I would never tell anybody, hey, that should be your A1 if you don't know about it. Because there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of talk. I did, Marco. That was on Binance. It had a big drop with Bitcoin. And yeah, WLF did have a spike, but it quickly came back down. So it was basically all that money they shorted Bitcoin down in those like in the leverage. At the same time, they took out equal longs to raise WLF. It was one of the craziest things you'll see. It was crazy. It's amazing how many people aren't interested in this live this morning. Well, that's all right. I'm basically done anyhow, so it was a good live. I think it was a good live. A lot of information. Not very many people took too kindly to it. We only have 80 likes. 25% of the audience left during this live, so it wasn't exactly the inspirational live I thought it was going to be, but it not often is. There's a lot of negative energy, as we know, so it's going to make it hard for people to just be 100% on board, especially when you could have a Bart Simpson top forming in the total crypto market cap. If this doesn't pan out, hourly's reversing. We're on a thinly traded weekend. If it starts to pull down here, we know the optic of what's going to happen. So I know there's a lot of nervous energy here. I just want everybody to still pay attention to the cycle we're in. I want you to realize that after these 5 waves are done, it's going to start a whole nother movement to the upside. It just, yeah. So I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Thank you all so much for your kindness. Thank you for the ones who actually tuned in. I don't have to thank anybody for donations or anybody joining Tom's Arm or anything like that because there was no monetary things like that. But yeah, we'll try to do this better next time. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're watching this, maybe watch it twice, share it. But other than that, we'll have to do better next time because this thing